So, yeah, Natalie Imbruglia does a song called Torn, where she says, the illusion never turned into something real. And I think that's exceptionally common. Unfortunately, there's an awful lot of people out there desperately searching for love and for a partner. Once they find somebody that they really connect with, it can bring up all sorts of feelings and emotions for them that they were unaware that they had. Welcome to Broken to Brave, my podcast. I'm Donna Barnes, the love coach, and today I want to talk about when you first start dating someone, why that illusion never really turns into something real, or usually, I should say, doesn't turn into something real. And before I jump into that, I just wanted to explain that I had started this 3 years ago, and then I started working as a matchmaker. So I just didn't get a chance to dive in and really do podcasts, but I am going to now. So I would like to invite you to send me your questions, leave them in the comments, message me however you want, and I will talk about things that you want to hear. But for today, I mostly, like, do you ever hear the Natalie Imbruglia song, Torn, where she says, the illusion never changed into something real? I think that's exceptionally common when you first start dating someone. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because far too many people get hurt because they believe that it's real and they think that they've met the one, and they're all fantasizing about where it's going, and they're telling all their friends, I met this amazing person, this is amazing. And then anywhere between, sometimes it's just a first date. I've had a lot of people coming to me for coaching because they had an amazing first date with somebody that they thought was the beginning of an amazing relationship, and then they never heard from the person again. And more often than not, it lasts at least a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. 3 to 6 months is what most new relationships end in, because the illusion isn't real. It is exactly that, an illusion. And it's not meant to be an illusion. I don't think anybody intentionally tries to deceive other people, except maybe some sociopaths and narcissists. But like, even then, I'm not suggesting that people are being untrue. You just never really know how you're going to feel about something until you're actually in it. And that's the biggest reason that this happens. It's because, look, we're all just trying to connect with somebody. We all want to be loved and feel loved and love, right? I hear that more than anything. God, I've never felt this way about anybody before. This is just the person for me. And because of that, they can't let go. But that's exactly the illusion that I'm talking about. It takes two to really be loving and create a loving relationship. And if that's not happening, it's just an illusion. And yes, you can have a great time with somebody and really connect with somebody, but it's not going to last. It's exactly what it was. It just was that illusion that it was going to last, but it just was what it was. And if you can really see that, I think you can save yourself a lot of heartache and not waste too much time pining for someone who doesn't want you. And that's really the biggest piece of it, right? Like, you don't want somebody who doesn't want you. And if you can really internalize that and stay empowered, then you can move on and go to the next one, right? And I'm not suggesting being a serial monogamist or a serial dater, but dating is a numbers game, as they say, right? The more people you go out with, the more chance you have to really connect with somebody, which is all the more painful when you really connect with somebody and then they bail out on you. And I fully get that, which is why I wanted to talk about this, because if you can look at it, that it was an illusion. It wasn't real. It's not real until you get about 6 months into a relationship. And even then, maybe it's not real. I mean, after 2 years, people get to the altar and don't show up, right? I mean, It's largely because you don't know how you're going to feel about something until it happens. I mean, look, you hear all the time, like with celebrities, they get married and then within a very short period of time, they're now not together anymore or getting divorced. That's exactly why that happens. And it's not just with celebrities, it's with all sorts of people. It's just that we hear about it with celebrities, right? But it's because you don't know how you're going to feel about something until it happens to you. And if you've never really felt love before, and now you're feeling it from somebody that you also really have feelings for, it's going to provoke all sorts of feelings in you that are scary. And it creates all sorts of anger in the other partner that was falling for somebody, and then all of a sudden they pull the rug out from underneath them, which happens more often than not. I mean, statistics show that most new relationships only last 3 to 6 months because once you get settled into it a little bit, your feelings start really coming back on you and playing tricks on you. And I think that's really the hardest part to wrap your head around. And we want to see the best in people. And it's so hard to really connect with somebody in that way, so that when you find somebody like that, you really want to do everything that you can do to make that work and make that last. But I guess the reason I'm wanting to talk about this is because some people get stuck for far too long, mostly after breakups, in just refusing to accept that that illusion was not real and really was never real. When people come to me after a breakup for coaching, I mean, they're usually wanting their relationship back. How do I get my ex back is the thing that I hear more than anything. But you have to look at your now ex for who they are now, and more importantly, how they're treating you now, because that's who they truly are. The person in the beginning is an illusion. It's not intended to be an illusion, and it's not intended to be deceptive, but it's just that euphoria of really connecting with somebody and the excitement of exploring someone new, I think, is appealing to everybody. And unfortunately, that's why some people jump from relationship to relationship to relationship, because they're just so addicted to that beginning phase, and they're really not capable of having a true loving relationship. And capable is a big word, because we're only able to do what we're capable of, right? And I think when it comes to relationships, just because you're capable of doing something doesn't mean the person that you're interested in is also capable of that. And failed expectations are a big part of why all relationships have problems and ultimately fail, because one person has an expectation that they may or may not have expressed to their partner, which is a problem in and of itself, right? But without getting off topic, what I'm trying to talk about is that illusion when you first get together is exactly that. It's an illusion. And it's not going to be real until you get about 6 months in, because it takes, and it doesn't always take that long. I mean, geez, sometimes it's only a few weeks or a few months. I have people come to me for coaching because they had one really great date, and then they never heard from the person again. And I so understand that, because look, we all just want to find that person that we really connect with. I mean, to me, that's the holy grail, right? I always say I want my best friend that I can't keep my hands off of. And it's the can't keep my hands off of part that's elusive, right? You know, you can have a great time with all sorts of people, but it's that person that you really have chemistry with and really connect with and just really are so attracted to, that's hard to find. And that's exactly why when you find it, you don't want to let it go. And you certainly want to do everything that you can do to make it work, but it's not real yet. You don't really know each other yet. You're just exploring getting to know each other. You're having a great time, hopefully. It's really easy when you really connect with somebody. I always say people do what they want to do. If you want to be together, you'll find a way to be together. But making excuses for someone who has started to pull back from you is not helpful to you. And if you can really keep yourself grounded and living in today, and your imagination is not your friend, in relationships. I think you throw off the balance of a relationship if you start fantasizing about where you're headed and where you're going to be, and ooh, this person is the person and this is going to last. If you really can resist doing that, you'll have a better chance of not really getting hurt when you really connect with somebody. And I think slowing the pace and not going too fast and really trying to see it as an illusion until you have spent really a minimum of 6 months together and it's really looking like it is for real, don't assume it is, because that's why people get hurt all the time, right? Most relationships only last 3 to 6 months because you do start getting to know each other and then you recognize whether you're actually right for each other or not, or your feelings change. Unfortunately, a lot of people, like the rebound relationship, right, come out of a relationship and maybe they lick their wounds for a little bit, but then they feel like they just need to find another partner again so that they can get over the last person. And, we say the quickest way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else, right? And I mean, on a certain level, that's true, but you certainly don't want to be the rebound person because that's an illusion. It's not real. And you really can't get over somebody by immediately going to somebody else. You're really just transferring your feelings. And it's ultimately going to make you feel worse if you're really missing somebody. You're really better off spending the time by yourself to heal that. But unfortunately, most people don't do that. Most people don't want to do that. As a matchmaker, I can't even tell you how many people come and sign up for matchmaking as a knee-jerk reaction to somebody breaking up with them. But then, I can send them out on dates with really amazing people and they just can't see them because they're so stuck in their head over the person that they're missing, over their ex. And that's all part of that illusion too, right? If someone's trying to get over somebody and really stuck in the past and stuck in that highlight reel, as I like to call it, of all the good things that you did together in the relationship that, you love reminiscing, and you do that because you feel good when you think those things. But then when you come back to the reality that that person's no longer with you, that's what's keeping you in pain. And you really need to stop doing that. I mean, the power of now is powerful for the sole reason that it keeps you in reality. It keeps you in today. And it can put further distance from you. And that's why, too, in the beginning of a relationship, your imagination can really cause you to throw it off balance because while you're not together, if you're fantasizing about all the great things and where you could be doing together and this and that, then by the next time you see your person, you've advanced the relationship. But if they haven't, now you're throwing it off balance. And that ends a lot of relationships, right? You have to really kind of grow at the same pace with each other emotionally because otherwise, if one person gets way ahead of the other person, it usually throws them off. I like the analogy of the cat in the Pepe Le Pew cartoon, right? Which, geez, that got cut out of Space Jam because they said he was sexually harassing women. But that's kind of my point, right? When you're just crazy about somebody, you can't keep your hands off of them and you just constantly want to love them. But you really need to be in tune to how much they're being receptive to that because you can really push them away that you're crazy about by simply being crazy about them, right? That's part of that illusion too. You have to know your audience, they say, right? You have to really recognize if your partner is at the same level as you. And if they start pulling back, unfortunately, so many people have abandonment issues. Your first natural reaction is to go after them and be more needy, trying to get them to love you, which has the exact opposite effect for most people that, if they're already taking a step back from the relationship and now you become super needy, that's going to push them away. So I think the more empowered that you can stay when you're just at the beginning of a relationship in that illusion stage, and if you think of it that way, hopefully it'll help keep you grounded more, that it's just an illusion. It's fun and enjoy it and go with it, but don't assume it's real until you really get deeper into the relationship and you've spent more time together. And if your partner starts pulling back, give them that space, because they're reevaluating and they don't know maybe how they feel, and your feelings are probably causing them to back off, right? You can love someone too much, like love bombing, right? Has become a big thing. I think, unfortunately, you do that when you feel like someone's pulling away from you, but you really need to resist that urge and let them pull away. Still be engaged, but don't try not to let it stimulate your abandonment issue, because that's ultimately going to end your relationship, right? We usually end up manifesting exactly what we fear if we give into what we naturally feel, right? Like if you feel like your partner's running away, you start running after them, right? But if you chase something, it runs. Don't forget that. If you chase something, it runs. You have to just be. And if someone wants to be with you, they will. And if they don't, they won't. But wouldn't you rather know that in the beginning than getting deeper into something and then feel like you wasted a lot of time with somebody? Because that happens too. Unfortunately, not everybody's great at hurting someone else's feelings, I guess, really, right? No one wants to be the person that says, yeah, I'm just really not into this, which is why ghosting has become such a big thing, right? People just go, oh, I can't deal with this, so I'm not going to, right? And they just shut down, in the world of texting, which I think is a horrendous way to communicate, how hard is it to simply send a text to say, yeah, this isn't working for me, I can't do this, right? I mean, yeah, better to have a conversation, but if you can't have that conversation, better than ghosting is to send a text. But without getting off the original topic, I'd like to caution you that when you meet somebody that you really connect with and you really think is terrific, tell yourself that it's an illusion until you've been together for a minimum of 6 months, because you don't know that it's going to last longer than that. Even if you think with all of your heart and soul that it's going to, it usually doesn't. And that's the illusion that really breaks people's hearts. And you can avoid having your heart broken by telling yourself in its illusion and enjoying it and participating, but not being needy and maintaining your power. And if your partner starts to back off a little bit, let them, and use that time effectively to do things for yourself, so you're not festering and creating problems where there might not be, if you just give your partner the chance to catch up to your feelings to where you're at. And being empowered, I think, is just attractive on so many levels, right? So I think you just never know how you're going to feel about something until you're in it. And then all sorts of feelings come up for you, and especially if you've never been in love before. I if someone says, wow, I've never felt this way before, wow, this is amazing, be prepared that they probably aren't going to be able to maintain it. Unfortunately, most people aren't brave enough to hang in there with that. It's scary, so they run away with it. They run away from it. And actually, I think that's what I'm going to talk about in my next podcast, is when it's scary, right? Because that's a big thing too. People say, you're scary. You could be trouble. You're scary, right? Have you ever heard that? So if you have questions, please put them in the comments below or message me on any of my social media accounts, or leave a comment or send me an email. And I'd love to talk about whatever it is that you have a question about. I'll leave you with the parting thought that the illusion can turn into something real if you're patient and you don't push and you don't get needy and you stay empowered and you don't lose your sense of self, because that's really the big piece of it, right? You meet someone and you get all enmeshed with them, and then you're not who you were initially, which is what they found attractive about you, right? So try to maintain your sense of self when you really connect with somebody, And if you recognize that they're pulling back, give them the space to do that. And don't get upset about it, and don't get needy. And if it's meant to be, it will. I think that's a good attitude to have too. I think sometimes you meet the right person at the wrong time. Timing really absolutely does have a lot to do with all relationships. That, I mean, I know that for me in my lifetime. Someone that I knew for a long time that I never thought I was attracted to, then I ended up really falling for 8 years later. It was a little bit like, why didn't I get you? But I was different, right? I'd grown. And I think that's true, right? People come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And usually people come into our life for the reason of teaching us something. But sometimes just a season, if it's fun, right? Somebody who's really not right for you, but is just fun and you're enjoying their company and you kind of know that you're not going to keep it around for a long time, which, by the way, I recommend being honest about that so that you don't hurt somebody. But the lifetime people sometimes were just that in your life, but not in a relationship capacity. And then at a different point in your life, maybe you can connect in a different way because you're both at different points in your life and you're both different people. A lot of times you meet a really terrific person who's committed to someone else or is emotionally unavailable for one reason or another, something that they're going on. Maybe, they're just not quite finished a divorce yet, or their business is struggling, or whatever it is. If they're focused on something else, they can't see you for who you truly are. But at another point in their life, they might be completely free and they might really connect with you. So if there's somebody that you met that you were really crazy about and they just kind of disappeared or they weren't capable, just let them go. Let them go. And if you really are important to them, they just might come back to you. They may not, so don't wait for them. Don't blow things up, right? I never get when people want to tell somebody off about why they've hurt them. It does not help your case. No one likes to be scolded. Remember that. People don't respond to being criticized or yelled at. Stay positive, stay empowered, keep moving forward. Don't wait for somebody who's, not showing up for you. But if you're still available, when they decide maybe they'd like to try again, maybe it'll work then. I've heard multiple stories of that over my now 18 years of coaching people. So, on that note, I would love to be here to answer your questions. Thank you for listening to my Broken to Brave podcast. I will be regularly posting now, and I look forward to answering your questions.